make my living as a beggar. My parents can't afford to take proper care of me, and that's why I have worked my way as a beggar from Banjarrpura to Mopti. I left to go begging, and after that learned to become a guide, which offers prospects and you can give it easily. Otherwise, it means being a beggar all my life, and I want to do something for my family, because when I was at home with my parents, we only ate once a day. And I haven't got any decent clothes to wear, and I haven't got any shoes either. I don't sleep properly. In the part of town where I live, I often spend the night in old cars or in the marketplace. I wouldn't like to continue with this shameful way of life. These are the words of a young man named Baba, who lives on the streets in Mali, a country in Africa. He is just one of the estimated 100 million street children around the world today. Street children exist all over the world, but most are found in large cities. The number of street children across the globe continues to increase due to poverty, political unrest, war, family problems, disease, and natural disasters. Street children are the most powerless of all individuals, but our generation has more power to make a difference for street children than any previous generation in history. As believers, we are called to care for the fatherless. We cannot close our eyes or hearts to their situation. Today, let's take a closer look at these children and answer some questions like, who are they? How do they live? What is currently being done to help street children? What action can we take to give street children a future and hope? And my prayer is that you will join me in helping them. First, who are the street children? There are a variety of ways to define street children. One common definition is anyone under the age of 18 who lives, works, or spends the majority of their time on the streets. Children who live on the streets have either been forced to leave their home or made their own decision to do so. Some come from families which can no longer support them due to overcrowding or poverty. Some are members of whole families who live on the streets, and others come to the streets after being orphaned by war, natural disasters, or parental death through diseases such as AIDS. Tragically, some children are even born on the streets and grow up knowing the streets as their only home. Street children have been around for a long time. In literature, some of the more famous street children include Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer or Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. While their lives were romanticized, their stories convey the difficulties that street kids face and encourage compassion from their readers. As in these famous stories, most street children are boys, yet many girls also live on the streets, but are generally less visible and are more likely to be sexually exploited. How do these children live? Street children are often seen wearing dirty, ripped clothing and no shoes, with lice-infested hair and dirty skin. Street children are vulnerable to illnesses and dangers from which other young people are often protected. They face poverty, discrimination, drug addiction, disease, lack of education, dangerous work, and legal problems, to name only a few. Most street children end up in groups, which offers protection as well as company. Many are forced by adults or older children who control them to deliver a certain amount of money each day. Their days are spent begging, scavenging rubbish dumps, shoe shining, selling candies, flowers, or newspapers, drug dealing, prostitution, or even petty theft. A worker from Oxfam, an international organization seeking worldwide solutions to poverty, says, "The children on the rubbish tip. They're not stupid, and they're not beggars either. It's a way of earning a living, harder and more dangerous. They're running the risk of disease and accidents. They collect bits of used charcoal and then sell them to buy what they need. Poverty is to blame." The street subculture encourages kids to steal and lie, to satisfy sexual appetites and use drugs. Drug abuse, particularly sniffing glue, is especially prominent. The kids say that it helps them forget the problems of street life, take away hunger pangs, and keep them warm. On the streets, children realize that life is short, violent, and perpetrated by crime. In Latin America, their average life expectancy is just 4 years once they hit the streets. Ask any group of street children about violence, and they will tell you story after story of children who have lost their lives in fights, petty crimes, and traffic accidents, or those who have been killed by vigilante groups and death squads, as well as those who have been beaten by police and security guards. When children are denied an education, they become more vulnerable to being sent out to beg on the streets. 10-year-old Sanasai from Mopti Mali says, "I wasn't able to stay on at school because my parents couldn't afford the cost. because some days we only had enough to eat for one meal. I go out begging, not because I want to, but because I don't have any choice at the moment. What can be done for street children? Simple things like a healthy diet, clean clothes, a toothbrush, and a warm, safe place to sleep with adults who care about them would make a tremendous difference for street children. Shadrach in Johannesburg, South Africa says, "I don't have any money. I've got nothing to wear. I've got nothing to eat. I've got nothing. I want to be like the other children, but I can't. Just look at me. Look, look. Do you see how dirty I am? The people treat me like I'm dirty. There's nobody who likes me." Many charities exist to help street children. They generally offer some combination of food, clothing, housing, healthcare, and education, covering the basic human needs. This can give health to the body and a child a chance to engage in and give back to the world. Some organizations also offer apprenticeship programs. Once the children are off the streets, detoxed, and treated for malnutrition, they're often taught life skills, including how to become entrepreneurs. Some street children receive assistance, but many more of these children have nothing. We must give attention to these children and address the factors that are driving them onto the streets. Jesus says in Matthew 18:10, "See that you do not look down on one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven." And Jesus' brother tells us in James 1:27, "Religion that God our Father accepts us as pure and flawless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress." So what can we do to help? First, don't become overwhelmed by the plight of street children. It's a big problem and we can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. If we adopt this attitude that we can all help, we can slowly improve the conditions for the street children around the world. Second, visit them or give to an organization that works among them. Action International Ministries, with its headquarters located here in Seattle, began working with street children in 1961. On their website, actioninternational.org, you can find short or long-term opportunities to participate in their street children ministry. Or if you prefer to help them financially, their website also lists several projects to which you can donate, such as feeding programs, education and job training, discipleship, orphanages, and counseling centers for abused children. Finally, you can help address the underlying issues, especially poverty, which force children onto the streets. A good start may be as simple as sponsoring a child or giving practical gifts like water purification tablets, mosquito nets, vitamins, vegetable seeds, or animals. Another option is to donate to microloan programs, which help street children and their families to start businesses. Food for the Hungry is also a great organization, and their website, fh.org, makes it simple for you to help in all the practical ways that I just mentioned. Children are forced onto the streets by poverty, corruption, and other circumstances, not by choice. They are precious to God, yet faced with problems no child should have to face. They need our help, and even if we can't help everyone, we can each help someone. Some see street children as victims. Others see them more as criminals. Often we choose not to see them at all, but the first step is to see them. So please, see them and take action. Thank you.